I don't know how historians will call this epoch we're in 200 years. Maybe the technological era, AI era, I don't know. Anyway, my point is with all these fast improving technologies, all the digitalization, that's a hard word to say. Anyways, all those tools that we have that are ever more powerful, etc., everything on the internet, all of that. There's one big problem that's increasing and increasing is that it's basically privacy and freedom. It is becoming harder and harder to keep our data private and also to be free to do whatever we want on the internet without having someone tracking us or things like that. Of course, provided one does not do any harm, etc. in its endeavors. So today what I want to do is talk to you about a few products that I have been using for a couple of years that have honestly really changed my life, improved my life in terms of efficiency, but privacy and security. So this will, as I'm showing here, we'll be dealing with some Proton products. And I think their catchphrase here summarizes it all. A better internet starts with privacy and freedom, which is especially important for us on this channel that we deal with trading, cryptos, money, all of that. Privacy and freedom and security as well is super important. I do want to mention something right now. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not paid to make this video, although it will sound like one because I really want to show you 3 important products that I think will really help you improve your efficiency at work or in your personal life when you're dealing with internet, but also greatly improve your security. And the reason why I'm doing that, I'm actually the one who reached out to Proton saying that I've been a user and I'm also a YouTuber and I would really like to create a partnership because some of their features I like a lot and I would like to be able to get some partnership where I can provide my viewers who are interested with some discounts. So as usual, as I generally do, these products that I'm going to be mentioning, there's also a link down in the description below for each of them, which will grant you at least a 50% discount depending on the product. Actually, before we get into these 3 products that I want to show you briefly, I want to mention a few more words, say a few more words about Proton because they are important for me. I want to mention that this all started with some email provider, but it was created by scientists at the CERN who were starting to be quite concerned at the time about privacy and freedom and security over the internet. And actually this evolved into doing much more products that I'll tell you about in a second. But I also want to mention that Proton to me is the best security, privacy and freedom internet data security. That was not a sentence, but anyway. And it is among the rare, if not the only one that doesn't sell your data to other companies. Your data is completely private. They don't sell it to the highest bidder. On the contrary to a lot of other VPN providers or whatever that are here promoted on YouTube. Anyway, so that was one point. The other point is that they're not just about making profit at all. They've recently converted into a non-profit organization. And more than that, they actively participate in charity. Here, I'm just going to read one sentence. I'll put the link to this article in the description. But I do want to mention here, since 2018, we have donated over 2.7 million to 32 organizations promoting and defending privacy, freedom of speech, and human rights. So I think this is super important for me. This is also one reason why I'm doing this video here and why I feel I would like to promote their products here today. Because just like, as I hope my content on this channel, the crypto trading bots, the open source philosophy and all of that, bringing whatever I can to you out there in the hope to, as we would say in French, mettre du beurre dans vos épinards, which literally translates into putting butter in your spinach. So I guess you understand it's an old expression. Butter used to be super expensive, probably still is. But so being able to put spinach in your, butter in your spinach meant that you had more cash. And so just as I hope all my content helps you to get financially, improve your finances and get better financially. To me, giving money to such a company as Proton that promotes things like that and also shares is super important. Anyways, I think I've chitty-chatted way too much. I think we can get going now. Okay, so feature number one, product number one is the Proton Pass. What is that? That's basically a password manager on steroids because it does a lot and very efficiently, and password managing is but one of the features that it provides. So this Proton Pass is something you can get as an extension here. So I'm sorry, I will be blurring quite a lot of things in here because it is sensitive data. I use that for my everyday and my work. But the point is, you can create many things. You can probably create some logins. So that will be for any account on whatever platform, your name, password, the OTP, TOTP, the 2FA authentication. If there's a passkey that is required, it'll automatically save it and put it back when you need it, etc. You can store some cards. I haven't mentioned alias. That's a super cool one as well. I'll tell you in a second. Note, identity, password. Here is just a quick password manager where all the passwords that it generates for you can, ask for with special characters, without number of characters. Very, very cool. So the point here, I'm telling you about login. So generally a login, it will create it with you when you're on a login creation page of whatever platform. It will automatically suggest some things, suggest some passwords, some names, some things like that. So you can automatically save that login. And then the next time you can also create it by hand here by doing plus, a new login, etc. But let's say you have done that, you have created your login and so this here, I'm giving you an example on a crypto exchange, but maybe you're not from my community, you've just stumbled on this video. So here I'm taking an example to connect to a crypto exchange platform, but just keep in mind that this is valid for whatever platform you want to connect to, whatever website, etc., where you have an account and passwords and all of that. Anyway, so I was saying you have created your BitGet login when you created your login and all of that. And this is especially important in crypto because, in anything, we have so many accounts everywhere. With increasing security, you don't just need a name, a password, you need 2FA, you need passkeys. It's impossible to remember. It is increasing security to the cost of just us being able to handle it. Anyways, so with this Proton Pass, you can store all this in it safely. And as you can see, I'm doing here on the screen, I've just clicked on email and it recognized the website that it was BitGet. If I had several accounts on BitGet or whatever platform, there would be a list here. And you could click the one you wanted to log in. So as soon as I click that, you can see that the password was already filled automatically. And it goes beyond this. So now I'm going to log in. There's going to be those, I don't know how you call these, but let me see this guy. And there's going to be another little, how do you say, not robot check or whatever. So, okay, confirm. And as you can see, 2FA, the Proton Pass detected it. I just do fill in, it's automatically filled, and I'm connecting to my website. Anyways, I'm coming back. So that is super efficient. When you have loads of them, you cannot intellectually remember all of it. This helps you. If it had required a passkey, the same kind of thing would have popped up. But of course, if there's no pop-up or you need it in a different way, it's always stored here in the Proton Pass. One thing I should mention before I show you the other features is that the Proton Pass is obviously something you protect because you don't want anybody to be able to access that, of course. So typically, let me just simply go in here, go in settings, and I'll show you security. There's several ways of doing it. You can use a password that when you open your browser, this Proton Pass will be locked. So it will not function until you unlock it with this password. And another thing you can do is a PIN, and you can also choose how often, let's say you leave your browser open, how long until you have an auto lock on the Proton Pass to unlock it. And typically, one thing I could recommend doing, which is what I do, no matter whether you do the password or here the PIN is selected, is to change them every few weeks. So you really have never the same password, etc. So another thing I wanted to show you, I think in the Proton Pass, that's super important. So yes, so in the same case, kind of same way, you can store some cards. so that when you need to pay on a website or whatever, you can access your card information. Also, a very important thing I want to mention with that is when you click on something here, you copy to clipboard. And basically, when you're using a card, imagine this would be a card and you click. That means you never type, you just do copy paste. And some attacks, some security leakage, sometimes on some website that are not secured enough, is that there was a program that was, registering or noting the keys that you are pressing on your keyboard. But if you do a copy paste, then this is not possible. They will just see Control C, Control V, or Apple C or Apple V. So that's one thing also that's super cool about being able to copy paste and not type your information. Anyways, I'm babbling a lot. Another thing I want to mention is aliases. This is also another great thing. As I was saying in the introduction, with all this digitalization, I managed to say it right this time. I don't know if it's an actual word. Anyway, let me know in the comment if it's not and what should I have said. In any case, what I was saying is that now every time you want to buy something or do something on the internet or whatever, you have to create an account. You want to buy a ticket for a concert at this, there or that, for a play or something, you have to create an account. You have to buy something on one website, you have to create an account. And you've never ticked any boxes. You do see that more and more, but even though you don't, you always end up with some spam emails, like after 2 months, you just have your new-ish address email that is flooded with 20 crappy spamming email trying to sell you stuff or whatever. That honestly, irritates me a lot. So these cool aliases, what happens is that Proton, when you create an account on whatever, it will offer you the possibility of creating an alias. So basically, when you're filling in the things, Proton can give you an alias. So you will see it will suggest an email address here that it creates it automatically if you want, but it will be redirected towards your main email address. So that if you're never going to use that account anymore because you just wanted to buy one single thing or something like that, you create the alias, you do the transaction, whatever, then you go to your Proton Pass, you go to your aliases in here. Where are they? You will have aliases. I think I don't have any, I've deleted them all. Anyways, you would find them in there and you just delete them. And that's it. So nobody can access, all the spamming email that would have gone to the email, these aliases will no longer be redistributed towards your own email. They will just be lost because you have deleted that alias. So I think that's another super cool feature of the Proton Pass. Okay, I've said too much. I've talked too much already on the Proton Pass. I want to move on to the next ones. There's a few other features, interesting features, but I'll let you discover. I just want to mention before we move on to the product number 2, what kind of pricing are we dealing with? So first of all, I want to mention, if you click on my registration link down below, at the moment, you'll get 60% off. But this is because it's Black Friday, Cyber Week, all of that, end of November deals, beginning of December as well. But by the time you watch this video, probably it could be over, and this will come down to around 50%. So still a huge half price with my registration link. Now, I also want to mention that if you use this registration link, it also means that I will get a bit of money back from Proton on your subscription, which is a huge help to support this channel and support me in creating all this open source and free content. So I thank you a lot if you do use these links. Anyways, so if you ever want to try, for example, for 1 month, the Proton Pass would be around €5 for 1 month. But if you go for the yearly deal, which is where you have the discount here, it will boil down to, as you see here, €2 per month with the 60% off. So something around a bit more than €2 if you get the 50% deal. Anyways, let's move on to product number 2. So product number 2, super important, paramount to data privacy and protection on the internet, is a VPN. I actually didn't talk about the VPN first. Maybe I should have, but it's just that the Proton Pass was just so mind-blowing and changed my life, honestly, when I started using it, that I felt like presenting first. But so VPN, you're probably used to this, but why is Proton VPN, why I like it a lot, beyond the fact that As I said, they don't sell your data. That's already a huge thing. A few extra important features. For example, you can activate this net shield, which not only you also block malware, ads and trackers, super important. Kill switch, something also super important. It disables your internet if the VPN connection drops to prevent accidental IP leaks. So, that's super important, because if you don't want to be tracked or something like that, in case whatever the server where you selected, typically here it was disconnected, but to connect to one, well, generally what happens with a VPN, the way I've configured it, it just starts when I start my machine. And I haven't mentioned that, but all these features, when you get them on Proton, you can also put them on your desktop, but also on your phone. Anyways, so you see I've connected manually because I had disconnected, but here you can really swap between countries. The coverage, let me show you in a second, the coverage is pretty much all over the world. So let's go. Sometimes it can take a bit of time but there you go. So there's quite a big coverage. But the other thing, so I mentioned kill switch, net shield, super important. You also have a secure core where you route your more sensitive data through our safer servers in privacy-friendly countries. So it can be quite important. That's something about ports. Another thing I want to mention, you can create some profiles. So if you really want to be really specific about what's going on, you can select several types here and give a name, the protocol you want to use, the country you want to go through, the server, etc. So if you know your stuff, this might be, if you're into this kind of things, is probably very important for you. But there you go. That's the Proton VPN for you. In terms of pricing, what are we talking about here? So again, 1 month plan, there's no reduction discount on here. This is just to test it. If you would like to test it for a month, for example, if you do a 24-month plan, you have 70% off. This also would come back to 50%, I believe, after Black Friday and all of that, which means that you're paying actually for such a efficient tool, only €3 per month. And you can also just get the 12-month plan as well with 50% off. This will stay 50% off, I believe. And that means you will be paying about €5 per month for this VPN. And there's even more. I didn't scroll down, but there are things here. Not all of it I even understand what it means or I use. But, for you, this might be super important. I don't know, you can do some rerouting for some fast P2P and torrent downloads. You have some accelerators. You can split what program uses what, things like that. You have really high VPN speed. I mean, you see all of that. Anyways, time to move on to the next product. And the last is the Proton Drive. I mean, being able to pay quite cheaply for some easy access to store some important data online, etc., and share certain files and all of that, super important. So Proton also does that, their Proton Drive. In terms of costs, you see with 60% off the 12-month plan, there's also a 1 month version if you want to try, but the 12-month has the 60% off, which will go down to the 50% after the deals, but that ends up you pay €2 per month. You have a 24-month plan here as well. But for those €2 per month, let's say what you get here, 20 gigabytes of storage, private backup, photo backup. One thing I meant about sharing, and that's super important, is that you can really easily, I won't show you the drive itself, is pretty self-explanatory if you ever get it. You can access it via the web, but you can also have your drive, you have your folders on your desktop, etc. I mean, on your computer, whatever. But if you need to share something with a collaborator or somebody of the family or whatever, it's super easy to share. You can give them read, write permission super easily. The other person doesn't need to pay for a Proton thing or whatever. So that's super cool. It's encrypted. You can recover previous files. You have an online document editor. I mean, well, I think that's super convenient, I haven't mentioned Proton Mail, but I have a link down there if you're interested about the premium Proton Mail features. I use them a lot. They're super convenient. I use that for all my business and everything. But anyways, so I hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in topics about this channel, so Python trading bots, programming, etc., there will be some videos on that side coming up. Anyways, I hope to see you soon and take care.